Everyone thinks motivation is what keeps you fit, but motivation is like a pre-workout. It hits fast, crashes hard, and leaves you scrolling Instagram at 11 p.m. wondering why you still skipped leg day. Discipline is different. It's not an emotion, it's a background process, a piece of mental firmware that updates itself through repetition, failure, and a lot of debugging. Think of discipline as software, unstable in early release, optimized over years of patches. Every version fixes one bug: laziness, burnout, perfectionism, or ego. When I started, I did what every beginner does. I copied code. I followed every influencer program, tried every bro split, and really believed that the secret to progress is finding the perfect routine. That's the thing about level 1. You are following someone else's script. You haven't yet learned how the system actually runs. You're excited, naive, and trying every hack that promises quick gains. And honestly, that's fine. And of course, I did the same thing with nutrition. I ate whatever the popular guys online said was clean: chicken, rice, broccoli on repeat. If someone said carbs were evil, I deleted them from my diet like a bad dependency. If another swore by keto, I installed that next. And to be fair, it worked for a while. Those programs weren't bad, they just weren't written for my hardware. To really progress in training or nutrition, you have to understand the logic behind it, because sooner or later you will have to write your own program and your own meal plan. After the first year, when the newbie gains algorithm stopped handing out free XP, the system started to slow down. Progress took longer, weights didn't move as fast, and the mirror stopped updating every week. That's when I started running on motivation alone. Every workout was powered by hype, music, or guilt. One bad day became a bad week, and suddenly I was trying to brute force willpower just to go through another session. Nutrition followed the same pattern. If I felt inspired, I meal prepped like a pro. If not, I defaulted to convenience food and promised myself I would start clean on Monday. Motivation had turned into my only energy source. The truth is, motivation isn't a stable power source. It spikes, crashes, and leaves you waiting for the next update. Real discipline begins when the code still runs, even when the dopamine servers are offline. By my second year, I had finally built a routine. Same gym time, same meals, same playlist, everything on schedule, every day. The system was running perfectly until it wasn't. I became obsessed with keeping it flawless. If one variable went wrong, a missed meal, a late night, a skipped workout, I felt like everything I had built was ruined. I treated one bad input as a full system crash. Nutrition got the same treatment. If I ate something off plan, I would spiral into guilt and think the whole diet was over. The same all or nothing mindset that made me consistent also made me fragile. That's the trap of level 3. You confuse consistency with perfection. You're not disciplined, you're just terrified of breaking the loop. Real consistency isn't failure proof, it's fault tolerant. By year 3, something shifted. I stopped panicking when something broke and started investigating why. Missed a workout, slipped through an alarm, felt run down for a week. Instead of rage quitting, I logged the crash. I realized my body wasn't a machine that failed. Fatigue, hunger, loss of focus, those weren't signs of weaknesses, they were data. The same applied to nutrition. If I went off plan or felt drained, instead of blaming willpower, I asked why. Did I undersleep, undereat? Was stress throttling my recovery? Every mistake got logged, tagged, and fixed in the next patch. That's what level 4 is all about, shifting from emotion to analysis. Because real discipline isn't about never failing, it's about having good error handling. Failures don't restart the program anymore, they just trigger a quick patch. Level 5 is where discipline turns into engineering. You stop relying on willpower and start optimizing the system itself. Training, sleep, nutrition, everything becomes an input you can measure, tweak, or automate. Tracking isn't about obsession, it's a necessary evil. It feels restrictive at first, like you are spending more time logging than living, but that structure is what eventually makes things automatic. You track until you understand, and once you understand, the system can run without consistent monitoring. When the data is clean, decisions shrink to simple condition checks. If tired, reload. If hungry, review. And your environment handles most of the overhead. Gym bag is packed, meals prepped. Motivation still exists, but it's a background thread, not a main process. Level 5 isn't about trying harder, it's about designing smarter. You don't outgrind chaos, you out-engineer it. At level 6, discipline becomes invisible. The habits you build stop feeling like tasks and start behaving like defaults. You no longer think about going to the gym, you just go. You don't overanalyze every meal, you simply eat in a way that supports the system. This doesn't mean it's effortless. There are still days that you don't want to train, eat right, or sleep early. But the difference now is that those feelings don't decide for you. The process keeps running even when motivation and energy are offline. The tracking, planning, and structure from level 5 fade into the background. You have built enough reps, mental and physical, that the system maintains itself. Discipline at this stage is less about control and more about stability. And when something breaks, you get sick, miss a workout or fall off for a few days, the system doesn't collapse. It self-corrects. Level 6 is where fitness stops being something you do and starts becoming something you are. Not an app, not a plan, but part of your operating system. At level 7, discipline reaches long-term support. You've gone past tracking, past automation, past motivation, past obsession. Now you're maintaining the system, updating it when life changes. You understand what levers matter and which one doesn't. You can miss a workout, eat off plan, skip a meal, or skip a week of logging, and nothing really breaks because the framework is stable. Level 7 isn't about chasing perfection anymore. It's about sustainability and keeping the system functional, adaptable, and simple enough for real life. At this stage, teaching becomes part of the process. Explaining the system reinforces your own understanding. And maybe that's the real end game of discipline, not to find the perfect build, but to keep refining the one that already works.